Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Haiguh back, and today I don't have a Fortnite video for you, but as you can tell by the title, I'm basically going to be going through showing you guys how I make my thumbnails. I've been asked a few times what I use to make my thumbnails, how I make them, just the whole process and stuff like that. So I figured I'll just go ahead and show you guys me making one right here, right now. So first things first, what do I use? I use Adobe Photoshop. I do pay for it, or I paid for it, so it's fully up to date. And first things first, just to start us off, the resolution for a thumbnail is 1280 by 720. So we're gonna go ahead and make a canvas for that. So how to make a thumbnail, right? And right off the bat, it's gonna start us off on this blank slate. Now, when it comes to making Photoshop thumbnails, it really just takes a lot of practice. It's just like any game you ever play in life, anything you ever have to try and perfect, any craft, it just takes a lot of practice. Same thing goes with editing videos. I used to suck at making thumbnails, and if you look at some of my thumbnails from the past, you can easily tell that. First things first, we want to go ahead and get a background. So what you could do is just go in on Google, as you see I did here, Fortnite background. Look for something that meets your requirements when it comes to resolution. You don't want to get anything that's too crazy or too small, because if you get a smaller image when you have to stretch it out to fit your 1280 by 720, then it's going to look all fuzzy and it's not going to look as best quality. A bigger image should be okay, because when you downscale those still look good. But you just want to find something, scroll through, look around, and find something that you want to use. So boom, there's this nice picture of Loot Lake. I'm going to go ahead and save the image as, we're going to just name it Loot Lake background, and I have a file that's pictures for thumbnails. Right now that I have this saved, we're gonna go ahead and drag this bad boy over to Photoshop, drag this boy in there. I was gonna use that one, click the check mark, go ahead and X out of that, and now we have our background. Looks nice and crisp for our thumbnail. So there's a lot of things that go into making a thumbnail, you know, whether you want to have characters, other pictures, text, and all that stuff. But before we get any of that across, we want to make sure we solidify the background and make sure this looks as good as possible, right? So we're gonna hold Alt. If you hold Alt and then use the scroll on your mouse, you can scroll in and out, or you can just straight up adjust the zoom on the bottom left here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put like 65%. So we have a smaller image of what we're working with. The reason we're gonna do that is because we're gonna go over to our first thing we got to do is on the bottom right here, there's a little thing, this little page with a little fold at the bottom left. You click that, that makes a new layer. What we're going to do is we're going to click the paintbrush. You're going to go up to the top left. You're going to put the size on 800, and you're going to put the hardness, pause, on 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the color on black, and you're going to see we're going to have just the edge of the circle coming across the side of the image, and we're just going to get this little shadow here, right? Make it a little dark, right? And just come around the sides, get this nice little shadow, right? You can even go possibly a little darker, right? And obviously this looks a little weird. We're not going to leave it like this, but what we are going to do is we're going to double click this layer, and this brings up the layer style options. And on blending options right here where it says opacity, you can just go ahead and go to like 40% or even 50% or something like that. And if you look at the difference with and without it, you can see it adds a nice shadow, but it doesn't take too much away from the image. If you think it's too much, you can go maybe down to 30%, but it's basically just to add a nice little focus in on like towards the middle of the image. Another thing you can do is you can make another layer and switch it over to white, and then you can go ahead and add a little white light to the top, you know, just to give it a little light, you know. Also, I don't really know what the hell this does, but if you hit Control M, right, you get these things called curves. I really don't know what the hell all this means, but I do know that if you take the one that's down here and move it down a little bit, right, and take the one that's up here and move this up a little bit, you can get some nice depth to the photo, right? That looks a little bit better. Also, something for you guys to know, I'm not going to use it in this one, but if you want to know, you can go over to layer. No, not layer, where image. Yeah, if you go to click on whatever layer you want to edit, go to image and go to adjustments, and then go to vibrance. You can adjust the vibrance of the photo, right? So as you can see, it's much more colored, and basically like increases kind of like the saturation, increases the vibrance of the colors. Saturation is pretty similar. As you can see, that makes it look very, very like beautifully bright colored and stuff like that. You can mess around with that if you think that's too colorful. As you can see, when you go down to 0, you realize how dull this picture looks, right? So actually we will keep that. We will keep that, right? It's not going to matter too much in the future anyway. So now we have this really nice looking photo, but I'm going to show you why that doesn't matter right now. What you can do is go over to filter, or what I do, I'll go over to blur, go to Gaussian blur, and we're going to add a 5.0 blur. You can do 4. I usually go with either 4 or a 5, because anything more than that, you're starting to get like super blurry, right? And you don't want it to be too blurry. You just want it to be blurry enough where you can still kind of see the image, but you know, when we put text on there, you want that to be visible as well. All right, and so now is on to the fun part. We have our background set, looks pretty nice. Now we want to go ahead and add a text to it. Something when it comes to making thumbnails that I had to look into a lot was fonts, right? I'm about to bless your guys' lives up right now with some of the main fonts that I see, not only in my videos, but in other people's videos, right? So first things first, we have Burbank Big Condensed. So as you can see, Burbank Big Condensed is like the Fortnite font, which is pretty good for my videos. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger just so you guys can see everything. Some of these fonts get really crazy font sizes by default. So another one that I like to use is Obelix Pro. As you can see, I was just talking about how big some of these fonts are naturally. This one is really nice as well. You can also use Big Noodle Titling, which is a nice one. Very simple. Oh, didn't mean to do that. I'm probably going to be using that one for this thumbnail. And the other one that I use is Longshot, right? That's another nice one that looks pretty cool as well. So those are all the fonts that I use. I've gotten all of them off of dafont.com, so you can just go on Dafont, look up these fonts, or just look them up anywhere. You can get them, right? Just be careful not to download them off of a risky website, right? So we're gonna go ahead and switch back to Big Noodle Titling. Nope, yep, okay. And we're gonna go ahead and change this to, we're gonna change it to how to, right? I'm gonna show you why. Obviously this isn't gonna be the only text that we have on, but we're gonna click Control T. When you click Control T, it just brings up this mode where you have the exact layer and you don't like misclick and click on stuff in the background and click other layers and stuff like that. We're gonna turn it a little bit, right? And then we're gonna shrink it down because we don't want it to be too bold. Plus we're gonna put some other text there, right? So once you get your font, once you get your text across the board, right, and you have it set up, you have a good size for it, you think this will work for you, what I like to do is if you hold Alt and then click on the layer and then drag down, you can duplicate it, right? And so this ensures you that it has the same effects, the same tilt, same size, same everything, right? That way you don't have to readjust anything. It's the same everything, right? And then you can just change the font from here or change the text. We're gonna go ahead and pop this bad boy up here. And then now the reason I don't just duplicate this one again is because I want to make sure that these layers are in this order. I want this one to be in front of this one, and I want this one to be in front of this one, and I'm going to show you why that's important for me, at least right now. So now is probably the most entertaining part. When you double click on your text layer, you're going to come up with the layer style options, and you have a ton of stuff here. This is what yours will look like, right? And for you, if you've never made a thumbnail, if you're working on your first thumbnail, this is important to play with. Play around with all of these, because before I used to be like, oh, this does this, oh, this is cool, and then I was feeling that, and then I was like, oh, and this does this, and then you just learn, you know, piece by piece, making more and more artwork. You get better and better and better, right? So for me, I have these styles that I go to, right? So I have this style, which looks better with the Burbank Big Condensed, but I do have this one that I like as well. So I have this nice style that I got from a graphics pack, and I have a bunch of gradient overlay colors. Now these are not like, I didn't download these, I made these shits myself, okay? So some of them I actually know. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These like simple looking ones I got from graphics packs, but most of them I make myself by just testing and messing around with stuff, because you got to see what looks best with the thumbnail, right? You got all these different colors and stuff that you can play with and see how they look, right? And then we're gonna take this one and we're gonna make this a different color. We're gonna put the same style on it, but we're gonna make this a different color, right? We're gonna make this white. It's like grayish kind of white. And then we're gonna make this one, oops, the same blue. That way we can have some, you know, similarities, right? Was it this one that I picked? Yeah, I think it was this one I picked, right? And the reason I want them to be in front is because when I go up, pressing the arrow keys, you can move them a lot smaller. Like you can make more precise actions. And then it gives a little bit of depth to the image because you can see that it's in front of one another, right? And now if you click on one layer, it can be the top one or the bottom one, and then hold shift and click all the way to the top one, you want to make sure these are together, you can then move this whole text together, right? So if you don't like the placement or you don't like the tilt or anything like that, you can move it, right? So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna Control T so we can make sure we're editing that, make this a little bit bigger. And Photoshop has these pink lines, as you can see. It's centered right now. That's what that is. It auto snaps to the center. Now this is centered horizontally and this is now centered vertically. I still feel like my background is too bright. Now I did add the vibrance and the saturation, which is understandable, but I'm gonna show you something that you can do to change that a little bit. So you can add more of a shadow, but I'm looking to add a little bit of something else. So what I can do, or what you can do, is you go ahead and add a color overlay to your background, right? And then what you want to do is change the blend mode to overlay. So this changes it from just blocking the whole thing in one color to it just being like a light sheet of paper. Think of it like that. Like if you take a sheet of paper that's like transparent and you put it over your background, but now you can change the color of it and the opacity of it, right? So if I make it red, obviously it makes the background red, but we're not looking to have the whole thing be something like that. Oh, not 520, 50. Nope, come on. 50, right? And we're not looking to make it red. We just want to make it a little bit darker. So you can go black. And when it comes to something like this, you don't want it to be too dark. So you can make it something like 20. And 20% might not seem like much, but if you look, that's a pretty decent difference, you know? I feel like that makes the font pop more. You can even pop it up to like 35, you know? Boom. Now you can still see that there's trees and, you know, some water in the background. Looks pretty nice. But then you also have the big font, big text right there on it, and it's noticeable. You know, you want to make sure it's big, because when people are looking at a small image, some people are looking at their phones. And when it comes to making thumbnails, just because I am personally on my phone all the time when it comes to looking at YouTube videos, this corner down here is blocked off by the time code of the video. So like, for example, on the bottom right, it'll say this video is 5 minutes 40 seconds long. So this area is kind of blocked off, so I don't like to put anything there. So once again, we can just make this a little bit bigger, move this up a little bit, and boom, we have a nice thumbnail. Also, just before I end out this video, I do want to mention I would highly recommend looking into getting GFX packs if you do have Photoshop. What they are they're basically these packs that you can download that people make, where you can download their pack, you can download their Photoshop document, and it'll have a bunch of images waiting for you. And the reason that's important is for games like Fortnite, for example. Like, look, I'll just go ahead and show you as an example. I have this one graphics pack by Oxs, so shout out to him because I use this shit a lot. This one has a bunch of what you can use for Fortnite thumbnails. So for example, I go to outfits, I go to body, and I have all these choices of Fortnite skins that I could possibly have and use in my videos, right? And stuff that I can use to decorate in my thumbnails. Stuff from season 3. Now that season 4 is out, people are probably going to be making some season 4 ones, but these are all things that you should look into. They have gliders, they have weapon slots, stuff like that, you know. Ton of really cool stuff that people make, and they should definitely be you know, acknowledged for this, because this shit takes a long time. So let's say you are using one of these things, just to show you how to do it. Let's say I want to use this skin. I'll right click the skin, go to duplicate layer, and then go over to whatever document I want it to be on. So how to make a thumbnail, right? Just as a background skin. Now it's in my document. I can go ahead and move this back so it's behind everything. And then, right, make it a little bit bigger. Move them down and flip it. She looks really weird flip. But boom, that just adds a bit of character to the thumbnail. That's often what I do whenever you see characters in my thumbnail and stuff like that. That's how I go ahead and do it. But anyways, it has been your boy Haiguh. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Whether you're a fan of my channel for Fortnite, or if you've just come to this channel or this video looking to make thumbnails and help make your thumbnails better, hopefully I helped. If not, I apologize. I'm still trying to get better when it comes to making thumbnails myself, but a like on this video would be greatly appreciated. Let me know if I helped you down below, or if you have any follow-up questions regarding Photoshop or regarding making thumbnails. Hopefully I can go ahead and reply to you and answer the questions that you have down below. Subscribe if you haven't already for more Fortnite content, and don't forget to turn on the little bell notification. That way you know exactly when I upload these videos. Like I said, it has been your boy Haiguh. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.